Good day, everybody. Welcome to our panel discussion on the importance of community building in the FinTech ecosystem. Marcus, Head of Flexible Workspace and Community Experience at CapitaLand Workspace Singapore. Today we have the pleasure of bringing together our Bridge Plus members, current and new, to join us in this panel discussion. Right, we have Anne from AXA, and we have Ben from BRS Innovation Hub, and then Pauline from UOB FinLab, and of course, Yiming from Tribe. So Pauline and Anne has been working out of our Bridge Plus facility in Singapore Science Park for quite a number of years. And then we're going to have Ben and Yiming joining us at our new facility at 79 Robertson Road, which is opening in January 2021, coming forward. Right. So, today, it has been a difficult year for all of us, and I think the degree of difficulty, however, vary, right? And not just personally, but of course in how we're delivering our various business agenda, especially even just for us at Bridge Plus, we're a co-working space operator. It of course has been a fairly difficult one, right? And at Bridge Plus, we strive to bring our community together, and with all these social distancing measures that are put in place, basically kind of put a pause to that. So I'm really pleased that today we are able to gather, even though it's a small group, to have conversations like this. Kind of miss this this gathering of sort. And I think, you know, community building is a very key part of what we do at Bridge Plus. And I think, you know, our support for the FinTech community it's going to be increased and amplified as we move on, opening our new center at 79 Robertson Road. But that's it. I think COVID also kind of introduced us to new modes of working. And in fact, a key question now is really, is there a need for community, or what is the role of community in the way that we are executing our various business agenda. And today, I think we're going to try to find out a little bit more from your various perspective in what you do, what that had meant for you this year, and also what you think could be the way forward for us. For a start, you know, maybe I'll just invite each of you to introduce yourself, your organization, what your role is, and then we'll talk a little bit more on that. So maybe for a start, I'll start with Anne. You know, introduce yourself. Thanks.
I'm Anamika. Most people call me Anne or Annie. I work for AXA, actually group operations. So we are the global part of AXA. I work regionally in Asia, but also a lot with our head office in Paris. And I'm part of the emerging tech new data division. So we try to support the different entities of AXA around the world. We're a big global company, how they can use innovation, how they can use data to move their business forward, to make processes more streamlined, to offer better customer service, and to actually be more accessible, better at protecting our customers.
Okay.
And we're here, so we used to actually be in the big AXA Tower on Shenton Way here in Singapore, but 2019 we moved here to Science Park because we wanted to be closer to the ecosystem that Singapore offers. That's the reason we're in Singapore, is actually because it offers a great ecosystem for innovation. We work together with NUS, we work together with startups here. Last year we did the FinTech Festival part here. So that has been the reason we're here. So we really value community, and we really value collaboration.
All right, okay, thank you. And next, maybe we'll invite Ben.
So my name is Benjamin, and I'm from the Bank for International Settlements Innovation Hub. We're the very newcomers to this. This whole concept of the Innovation Hub for the regulators was only mooted about 2 years ago. And I think we were really taking the lead from industry friends and partners who have been sort of at the forefront of developing a lot of this, building these communities, building these labs. And I think for the regulators, we also want to try and build this community, first amongst the regulators. So very much this is meant to serve the central banking regulatory community, but very much in partnership with with our industry, friends and partners, because a lot of this, technology and work is interoperable. So I think that was where we started. In fact, for Singapore, that was one of the, early reasons they definitely wanted to have a center here in Singapore very early. Besides us, we have one center in Hong Kong now and in Switzerland. And all three centers were sort of operationalized this year in a most challenging, interesting year. So, I guess, for us, we were, sort of built, ready to go. And then, of course, with COVID, things changed. But it also gave us time to build up our team, to sort of, launch what we needed operationally. But I think, even in some of the pre-discussions we were saying just now, we're raring to take it to the next stage. As Anne said, the reason to be here is I think the community, the ecosystem is well established, very well regarded. And I think, we're yearning for that sort of close interactions and partnerships, because you can do a lot, I think, on the remote tools today that are available. And we've all learned, this year is the year everybody has become an expert at some, digital platform or another.
Yeah.
But nothing beats, having a coffee with somebody, bouncing off in the, in a boardroom, some of these things. But again, adapting in this new environment, to do it in balance, I guess. So I think we're definitely yearning for that. We're also sort of connected, through new centers. So in fact, as we speak, there are now plans to bring on another 3 centers. One in a joint center. So one serving the Nordic regions, one in Paris, Frankfurt, serve the Eurozone, and one for the Americas. So very soon we will have a global network. Again, much like I guess AXA and these global institutions.
Right. Next, maybe you introduce Pauline. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Pauline. Really glad to be here amongst the community at Bridge Plus. And I'm the head of FinLab. The FinLab is an innovation accelerator of part of UOB. And we started quite early, even before Singapore FinTech Festival, we started in 2015. And, at the start, we were looking at helping FinTech companies to scale and to grow in ASEAN. Many of the FinTech companies were looking to land in ASEAN to capture the opportunities. Even now, at that point, even now. And UOB being a bank with a very strong ASEAN footprint, we were able to capture the fintechs that wanted to come. So through the innovation program that we were running in 2016 and 2017, we worked with selected fintech companies to scale and grow in this region. And then in 2018, seeing that there was a huge focus on helping SMEs to get to Industry 4.0, helping them to digitalize. We also wanted to help the SME community to adopt digitalization and transform through this adoption. And therefore, we expanded our program and we helped the SMEs through an innovation program to accelerate their digitalization. And also in the process, because to innovate, they will have to work with tech solutions, innovative tech solutions. So we became the matchmaker of sorts, bringing the SME community and the tech ecosystem together. And where the problem statements meet the solutions provided by the tech community, we then curate them and select and match them. And then we also help the SMEs to implement the tech solutions so that they will actually see the revenue capture by adoption. So that's what we have been doing for the past 2 years. We have done it largely offline in Singapore, Malaysia, and Thailand. And then this year was, of course, a very different year for all of us. We found ourselves accelerating our own FinLab online platform, where we put a lot of the tools and the learnings from the past years of offline program onto online, so that many more SMEs can tap on, they can hop on online, the FinLab online, and they can benefit from what we have done over the past 2 years together with the other SMEs.
Yeah,
So thanks for having me here once again.
Yeah.
I'm Yimeng, I lead Tribe. Tribe is the first government-supported blockchain accelerator here in Singapore, where we work with corporates, government, startups, and I like the word Pauline used, which is matchmaker. So we are similar within that, a matchmaker to bridge the blockchain ecosystem, and one key focus area will of course be fintech companies itself. But I think something different is that we are neutral. So we work with, we always say friends, competitors, or frenemies, in terms of, be it in the banking space, be it in the supply chain space, or even the tech space. So our partners includes like IBM, Intel, Microsoft, AWS. So they're all coming together and say, hey, how can we facilitate the growth of the Singapore blockchain ecosystem wearing a little bit more of a Singapore hat to say how can we help this place become a vibrant hub so more companies can come into Singapore, and this will be a win-win scenario for all businesses here in the region itself. So yeah.
Right. Hey, thanks, Yiming. So I think all of us are, to some extent, matchmaker in our respective field. You know, matching solutions to problems, matching companies to work together, and I think, you know, even for us at Bridge Plus, really bring together and find ways to co-work, right, and form partnerships. And I think just now, like Ben and Pauline were just about to share, you know, how the year has been, right? Maybe we can go back to Pauline to just elaborate on that.
So continuing my story.
Yes. How has it been affected? You know,
I think
your agenda.
actually, okay, so last year when we were running our offline program, because there was a limited number of SMEs and also tech solutions that we could engage in person, and therefore we thought at the end of last year that how can we bring what we do to more SMEs, and already as at last year we were, you know, looking to build a online platform where we can scale and reach more. So it happened that this year we had the pandemic and we accelerated our build. So in fact, my team was more busy than ever building that platform. And then with the platform, we then supported the programs in the region, Singapore, Malaysia, and Thailand. And we saw that actually with the FinLab Online, we could reach many more SMEs, and SMEs that were previously not in the same location as us. So the example is, for example, in Malaysia, our Drone Transform program. Earlier, last year, we focused on the SMEs in the Klang Valley. But this year, we saw there were SMEs from East Malaysia, Penang, who were able to, you know, plug in and also benefit from the workshops that we had, from the mentorship that was offered. So it was really wonderful because digitalization and the fact that we were forced to move online actually allowed us to reach many more companies and help them. Of course, I think the learning is also that there are certain things that are very suited for online and digital. And then there are also things that you will definitely sorely miss offline. So coffee, you know, the serendipitous moments that come out when you know, chat and then you brainstorm and throw out ideas. Workshopping with my team. These are areas that we have to learn how to cope during COVID. It wasn't really very smooth in terms of workshopping online, you know, and
Well,
therefore,
it was tough,
it's tough because how do you throw ideas, and whenever you come together on a platform, you are always very deliberate. So, like I said, the serendipitous moments were kind of missing. So I think we had ways of coping, and we had to turn a lot of the tools and insights, bring it online. And in bringing it online, I think it was also rethinking how people could engage with us rather than in the past. So I think this year has been a great learning experience, and also given us a lot of insights into actually there are areas that are efficient, what could be done more. And then I think one favorite thing that you know, I always remember reading an article in Forbes is they asked the CEOs, you know, what were one of your key learnings, and one of it was what is truly essential. So I think it really forced all of us to think what is the really essential thing that we all want to do and want to provide, and then we think about how we serve in this new online platform or a new way of engagement.
Yeah, it's an omni-channel way of engaging the stakeholders that we're working with right now, right?
Gladly with phase 2, it can be omni-channel. In during circuit breaker, it was like, you know, just trying to cope with all the online interaction.
Referring back to Ben, because you have your international organization, and your target audience are basically you know, the global community. Now, how through your various hubs, how do you manage that over the past year, in a sense? If noting that Singapore is a new entity here, new center, how BIS have kind of taken that?
Yeah, I mean, so you know, I very much resonate with, you know, how Pauline felt as well. I mean, I think So for us, we always knew that we needed to use digital online platforms to connect with our centers, with our host country, with the different central bank stakeholders. I mean, we will want to travel and we want to connect, but there are sort of finite limits.
So just a minute on that. Your stakeholders are primarily the central banks.
So primarily central banks, but
Okay.
the Innovation Hub is a new sort of thrust for the central banking community to try and reach out to the industry. So it's a double sort of engagement sort of window that we want to maintain. And I must say this year we've done some. And I think it goes to the point that I find when we use these digital tools, it's very efficient. Everybody is very punctual. Everybody sticks to that 1 hour. We do what we need to do, and then everybody kind of goes back. And even webinars, we've done a lot of that. And there's a lot of engagement. But after a while, the platform itself can only, it's not as immersive, and you don't grow in spontaneous ideas and all that. So I think there's that sort of, windows that we still want to capture. But, this experience of this year has taught us that, look, there are a lot of efficiency gains that you can have, by prioritizing some of this work. So I think it's striking a bit of that balance. And so, at the start, I think everybody was sort of adapting. We, wanted to, our initial model was, we want to head out, have a lot of extensive engagements, and then, I guess build these systems. It turned out the other way around as well. So, this year, we decided, well, let's push out all our cloud platforms. And I think what we found, to our discovery was actually a lot can be done, online too. We ran this global hackathon for the G20. Admittedly, at the beginning, it was just at the onset of COVID. We were not sure whether we'll pull the plug. In the end, our partners decided, let's go. We got some good partners here. The API Exchange, for example, helped to provide a lot of that cloud-based containerized sandboxes. So we could still run this hackathon. And in fact, very successfully, we then attracted participants from all corners of the world. People that, even, some of the most sort of remote islands we never expected to participants. Suddenly we saw, everybody logging in from there. So it was sort of a pleasant surprise. But unfortunately, again, we were expecting a lot more big bang. Let's say, even this year at the FinTech Festival, we were hoping to then have live demos. Everybody come together.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, again, that's not the situation this year. But it just saves, I guess, stuff for us to do in subsequent years as we go back to it'll be in my mind, it will be a new normal. I think the old method of just relying on face-to-face interactions will also be a thing of the past. Nobody wants to travel every other week. I think there's a certain limit to that as well. So now, in some ways, actually, ironically, we may end up in a situation where we can have the best of both worlds. Hopefully, I think that's something that everybody's working at, and time will tell, I guess.
Yeah, and now going to end, given your stakeholders are largely internal, right?
Yep.
But still regional, and then of course with your headquarters in Europe as well. Yeah, how that engagement have gone on in that sense? Yeah.
Of course, it's challenging because indeed, normally we would fly all over the place, and that's not happening at the moment. My kids are very happy about that. So it has also brought some merit to a lot of people.
Yeah.
But I do think I still. And I think the same as Ben said, you can do a lot online, and we find that as well. We did webinars, workshops online. We added gamification to it, and that has been a lot of fun and has been very interesting because I think it was mentioned before. Normally, you stick to a geographical region, but when you move it online, you actually have a much wider net.
That's right.
And you can add, depending on time zones, but you can add a lot more people to it, and there's a lot more sharing of ideas between the different regions. So I now feel that we also got closer to our European colleagues.
Okay.
Because the distance is the same between, let's say, Hong Kong and between Paris now.
Yeah.
So I felt much more comfortable reaching out to colleagues in Europe and saying, hey, let's do a coffee online. Let's turn on the camera, which we normally wouldn't do. But
Interesting.
Because now, because everyone craves some human contact, you turn on the camera and you have a much better conversation. So it works really well in big setting seminars. It works really well for 1 or 2 people, 3 people coffee and bounce off ideas. But what you don't have is that setting that you would normally have a workshop and then you have a coffee break and you start talking to people informally and the ideas come up very organically.
Yeah.
And I do miss that organic component. Everything is more formal, more time now.
You're very task-driven, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that kind of, it might kill creativity a little
Indeed,
bit. So I
indeed.
think that is to me a big big challenge, and I think that's where we still need face-to-face to be able to, have that serendipity to come up with
That's right.
ideas that we didn't envision beforehand, that you meet people that you weren't planning on meeting. You're like, oh wow, you're working on that innovation, we can actually use that, and I never heard of that before. So in that sense, I hope we can get that back. But on the other hand, looking at the traveling, which has been excessive, which is not great for several reasons, environment, family. I think it's good that we scale that down as a society, and that we move to things that we can move online. We don't have to go for every meeting. You don't have to fly into Tokyo for one day. It's actually, it doesn't make sense. So I think that's, like I said, I hope that this accelerates a better balance for us. But I still think for innovation, there's creativity needed. There's people needed who who talk to each other in organic conversations. So we would still need that. Not everything can be digitized, even though I'm a big fan of digitization.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, I'll bring that to Yiming, right? Extend that, because you basically work with quite a big pool of organizations, whether the corporate multinationals to the startups. Now, how have you managed that over the past year? Right.
I guess this year is definitely, I mean, all would agree that it's a special year.
Yeah.
And to me, this is a year where not only do we get a pause to look at how we can reshape things as we move forward, but it's also the year of real innovation. And sitting here, accelerators, innovation labs, innovation teams, people driving community, this is a year where innovation is put to the test. How can we move fast enough? How can our teams adapt? And this is the work that we do. A lot of times before that, people are like, oh, okay, like we want to do innovation, but it's for something that if it takes 3 years, so be it. If it takes 2 years, so be it. But this year is the year where you have to adapt immediately. And that's the value of, or I would say the beauty of what this year brings. It accelerated a lot of digital transformation. And like what Anne mentioned, the world becomes smaller. And a lot of times about innovation is a lot about knowledge transfer, right? How can we better learn what other teams in the world are doing? How can we better share our knowledge with more people around? Like this year itself, you see headlining speakers coming for Singapore FinTech Fest or for Singapore Week of Innovation and Technology. Previously, it might not have been possible because people might need to cancel schedule and park out 1 week just to fly into Singapore to do a speech. Whereas this year, it's possible. So that's the beauty of what has happened. Of course, the key word here is balance. How do we strike that balance between physical and digital? You lose your coffees, you lose your serendipity of ideas coming through when you are talking or chit-chatting with someone, or you lose that water cooler conversation, but yet you gain something even more. So innovation today is about how do we really strike that balance, and how do we bring people to collaborate, maybe now not only in the local context or the regional context, but in a global context. Like, can you collaborate much better? Because like what Anne mentioned, Singapore to Hong Kong or Singapore to Europe is the same distance away now with a Zoom call or Google Hangouts itself. So I think that's what we have seen. And as a whole, in 2020, we've been running our programs digital, our accelerator programs. We've been looking at how Demo Day can be reimagined. So this year, we'll be doing at the Singapore FinTech Fest X Switch, where we'll be powering the Singapore Blockchain Village. And first time itself, our demo day will be showcased live globally. Previously, it was a private event. And hopefully, this helps us to reach out to even more audience and to even attract more startups for future batches. Because now it's so easy to join programs because you don't have to fly into cities, parking out time, finding hotels or accommodation, and it's really a beauty.
Yeah, but no, I think that next question for all of us, right? I think the moment we are able to go on digital to broaden our engagement, the challenge then becomes finding that audience, right? And getting the word out, retaining that audience attention. How have you kind of tackled that?
So I guess, that being said, the value of quality is now more important than quantity, right? It's not the frequency of how you do things, but the quality of speakers, quality of content, and like what you mentioned, there's a lot of options. Today you are doing something here, someone else is doing 10 other things out there in the market. How do you really capture that audience? It's when you really have good content. So content curators from previous times, they might be trying to do as many events as possible, offline events to engage the ecosystem. But now it's about how do you do the right event to bring value to your stakeholders. Maybe it's more industry-centric for us, like certain industries, we might need to hold different events for that. So it's more targeted. Maybe it's bringing the right group of stakeholders. So I think that's where that balance will need to come in as well. But of course, it's easier said than done. So it's a lot more refinement and a lot more questioning what's the real value of the work that you do and how it will impact your stakeholders itself.
Actually, I would agree and add to that. So I think all of us, we experience a lot of moving our own individual activities online, right? I mean,
Yeah.
purchases, knowing what's going on, and interaction. So I think the online space has gotten a lot busier, and some people will say it's noisy. So you know, even for ourselves, we have to kind of try to navigate, right? I think you know, our interactions with the SMEs on the ground, we also see that actually, you know, for them, the mindset change has accelerated a lot, because many people ask, like, so has this accelerated SME digitalization? I think the biggest thing that accelerated is mindset, but SMEs will still feel challenges, still face similar challenges on the ground as before. Like, how do I get started? Which tech solution provider should I work with? And when I implement, the challenges remain the same, because the staff and the team, they might not be ready or have the ready skills to help them with the implementation. So I think the value that we want to continue to provide does not change. We continue to help them to learn to match tech solution and to implement. I think on that respect, the response from the regional community have been overwhelming. And in terms of outreach, because the local government agencies whom we work with, they also have a sense of urgency to do this for the SMEs. So I think the reach when we work together will continue to be wide. I think for the SMEs themselves, for a SME business, for you to differentiate online, then it's not just about going into an e-commerce platform and selling whatever you have, because now there are a lot more people going online to sell. So therefore, the content creation bit is also truly important. And I think for every business that's going online now, content creation will probably be a key thing. So what we did was to actually work with a tech solution provider called Ophio to provide a content creation platform and tools, so that the SMEs can do that in a very easy way and have a differentiator even when they are profiling themselves online. Yeah, and then their customers will find that, this post is very engaging, and they will have a higher engagement and ideally higher growth in revenue. So I think everybody has to up your game in this, you know, new, like 2020 onwards. You have to up your game in the online space, and content creation is definitely one of them. Different ways of engaging customer using tools online will be another one. Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe I see it as twofold, and I agree very much with what Yiming and Pauline were saying. I think ultimately, you still need to ensure that whatever product or whatever prototypes you're building is of substance, because that again will be your anchor. That's what people come to you ultimately for. And I think, you know, there's been a lot of good work still being done within the industry, within the sector. The other thing that I found very refreshing and actually very encouraging was, so we're the new kid on the block, and we've not had any shortage of introductions. So every time we meet somebody online, they introduce us to 3 other people, 4 other people, and say, hey, have you met this person? Have you connected these people? And I think that's a little bit of that sort of community that we've also built, or, you know, we're now, you know, sort of tapping on, or right, and getting plugged into. So there's 2 parts. So as long as there is something, you know, that is worth people spending the time, I think people will still come and find you, right? And then within the community is a lot of sort of, you know, I mean, Yiming talked about, I think it's less frenemies. It's not, everybody just sees this as, again, a community. If I'm helping to grow something else, you know, it will hopefully bloom 1,000 other flowers, you know, in related space and pockets. And I think that's been, I mean, at least that's our experience so far, you know. It's very interesting. I mean, every time we go for a meeting, you know, we end up with introductions for 4 other meetings.
Right,
And you line all this up too. So, you know.
So you're suggesting that actually for you this year, your community, let's say the rate of growth, have really picked up a lot.
I mean, again, we start from a new
Low base.
entity, so we've not nothing to benchmark. So you know, we're in the process of trying to meet. And I think that's what I meant. Maybe in our mental model was, we fly to all the different cities in the region and introduce ourselves to the regional central banks and then get connected to their community. But we're finding organically now, even without having to fly, once you're starting to get into some of these networks, everybody then introduces everybody else to some other networks, and then spontaneously, I think there's a lot more interaction. So there are these opportunities that always would be there, and so it's just a matter of how you suss all this out, how much you build quality products so that people will still want to come to you, and how it's differentiated. And so I think. It's very much this whole idea. I think in this new sort of normal, you can't run away still from having something of substance. So as that anchor there, but the propensity in which it can then get out and be connected is a lot greater than before. In the past you had to wait for guest conventions and then again those are within finite pockets. Now very organically some of these things can happen. So I think truly this sector, at least I found, has been able to sort of turn adversity into great opportunities. We're at least at the hub here, we're excited to continue plugging into these networks.
Touching on that, right, it sounds like community engagement, in-person community engagement especially, also going to be still very much on your agenda. And I guess today's the topic of discussions is, at the end of the day, how important it is, right? And before we talk about importance, it's about relevance. So can I maybe invite any comments on that? Is still relevant, community engagement, development?
Well, I think in general, as a company, whatever your business is, you don't exist within your own small narrow space. Like, we're an insurance company. We know about insurance, but even though we're aim to be a tech-led company, we're not a tech company. So we don't invent new tech. So we have to collaborate with people who actually do and see how we can tune that to our business. So in that sense, community, in whatever sense you see it, either you see it as a face-to-face community or you see it as partly online. But I do think actually global collaboration has accelerated under this. As we said, that regional barriers have fallen away as everything moved online. And we see that it's also a global situation we're in. And I think especially as we have an insurer as AXA, we see that there is a need for more global approaches to these type of problems, going in from a pandemic to economic recovery from a pandemic, mental health, anything that has to do with this has become a global problem. It's not regional. And looking at the next crisis like climate, everything is global, so we have to work together as a big global community. So I see that more as, okay, we're with a bunch of people in an office and we work together, but more how can we foster more collaboration across the board between different countries, between different organizations, because we're dealing with global challenges that have to be, not even fixed globally, but also we have to work with globally and with different partners. So definitely, I think it's even more now, and it will be more in the future.
Thank you. So I think on that note, with events like, say, Singapore FinTech Festival and Switch that are taking place, how important is that, such platforms to us now in our community engagement? Maybe you can start with Pauline. Yeah, what is UOB FinLab doing?
Okay, happy to share what UOB FinLab is doing. So UOB will be participating in a very big way in SFF as of all the past years. So we are one of the key sponsors in SFF. Look out for UOB, and then FinLab will also be at Switch as part of the UOB digital building. So we all have digital buildings at Switch. FinLab will be there together with UOB. And we will also be having 2 offline events. Very excited to be able to network finally. And these offline events will actually happen at your new space in Robinson Road, Bridge Plus at Robinson Road, on Tuesday evening and Wednesday morning. So for any audience who wants to reach out and engage us, do sign up on UOB on the FinLab page website and meet us there either offline or online. Yeah, so that's one. And I also wanted to add on to Anne's point in terms of the community. I think community has definitely enlarged, but I think it's about this year we are very focused in how we want to serve. So in the past, it was very broad-based. The FinLab, we run the acceleration program. We bring partners to serve SMEs. But this year, because there are particular needs of the SMEs, and therefore the community comes together to meet these needs in a very focused way. So I think this focus is also exemplified in Switch. When we say, hey, we want to reach a bigger audience, I hear that this year there's 60,000. I have to validate this number, but it is really a global audience this year. So I understand SFF is 24/7, 24/5,
24/7.
right? So the programs are running 24 hours, 5 days a week.
Yeah.
And then for Switch, I think a lot of content will be online and on demand. And I think the accessibility is really great. The focus in this particular week will then be to showcase, the innovation that we have, not just in Singapore but also in the region. So I'd like to, see that actually this community that we have been talking about and that the FinLab has been, engaging in for the past few years. In this year, we have not just enlarged the reach, but also we have become very targeted to meet the current urgent needs. And in the coming years, I do hope that this focus will, really drive the value for both our community participants as well as for ourselves. Yeah, so that's my take. Yeah. So the finlab.com to sign up for the events.
Yes, maybe Yiming, what are your plans?
Yeah, so
it's-
for Switch this year itself, we'll be playing 2 roles. So first role is a global conference partner for Switch, where Open Notes, which is a platform that we power together with the Infocom Media Development Authority, will be curating blockchain panels on the Switch main stage on Tuesday afternoon itself. And we'll be running the Singapore Blockchain Village, where we'll bring in industry partners to form a microcosm of the Singapore ecosystem. So we brought in like government agencies, technology companies, startups, and ecosystem partners, or even foreign partners, like the Dutch Blockchain Coalition that we have partnered last year during Switch. So we brought them in a single village. So we called the Singapore Blockchain Village, and there will be demo days, there will be private and public initiative launches, and few other exciting events coming up. And one key highlight will be on day 4, where we'll not only be talking about the Singapore ecosystem, but we'll be talking about different ecosystems in the world. So your Latin America ecosystem, your European ecosystem, China, America, so on and so forth, so that people come on here on a Singapore platform, they get coverage to see what the world is doing. And we try to time it based on time zone itself, so that it's easier for the audience to take a look and help position, and this will also help position Singapore as a global hub for innovation.
Right, thank you. Ben, BRS.
Yeah, so for the BIS this year, we're very fortunate. A lot of our partners have also invited us, and the MAS, of course, has invited our delegation. So we will have a big delegation who will be participating and speaking. In fact, led by the general manager of the BIS himself. So Carstens will be having a fireside chat. The head of the Innovation Hub, Bernard Courier, will also be speaking. In fact, very topical topic, CBDC. Everybody wants to hear that, so we're happy to be part of that group. And even, in fact, all the advisors here, we pretty much find ourselves on different panels. The center head, Andrew McCormick, will be speaking at stablecoin, sort of panels. Also on national digital infrastructure, we have advisor Ben, Dyson, and Joy Wan, advisor for reg reporting, will also be helming a few different panels and moderating that. So I think on the formal program, we're very plugged in. We're very happy to help contribute to these discussions, and then we'll also be hosting sort of a microsite, just summing up what I guess the hub centers across all 3 centers that are operational already: Singapore, Hong Kong, and Switzerland. Some of our first kickoff projects for this year. Just a little bit of that work that we've been doing so far. So that's there, and then we're looking very much to participating and supporting a lot of our other sort of local ecosystem panels and benefiting from all that.
Thank you. How about Anne from AXA point of view? Yeah. What?
Yeah, no, it's very exciting. Last year we heavily participated, and we had people from Paris coming over and from different parts of the world. And this year, because it's online, it's even better because so many more people can participate this year and actually see, you know, how much you can, you know, all the great lines of speaker and how much you can take away from FinTech Festival, because it's not. It wasn't known to all of my colleagues that this existed. So this year we have quite a few speakers or panelists actually from AXA. So we have our COO, Astrid Stange, joins the panel, the CEO of AXA Next, who looks at, let's say, the next steps of insurance, Delphine Maisonneuve, sorry, all these French names. And we have our chief data scientist, Marcin Ditanecki, joining a panel. So, and that has been actually much easier now to get people to actually be on these forums, because they don't have to travel, because they don't have to find hotels and take days out of their schedule. So that has been good, and we're all very much looking forward to also be on the other end and follow all these panels and all these speakers and fireside chat, and what I'm hearing from you guys, what you are doing to have a look at that. So it will be a very interesting week, and I hope, and I normally have at the festival when I'm there, it's like, oh, should I go to this stage or that stage?
Yeah, that's right. It
There's
was
just
hard, right?
too much going
too
on
much
at the
going
same
on.
time. I think this year as well, but because you can look back at things on demand, I hope to actually catch even more.
Yeah, it's probably going to be a one-month festival.
Yeah, it's like 1
For
month
many of
full.
us.
At Christmas I'll still be.
There's so much content in there. Even
So-
at, yeah.
So I think that this online concept, let's see how it works out, but at least it gives a bigger podium.
Yeah.
And that's already great, so I really hope a lot of my colleagues everywhere in the world can join many sessions to, you know, to walk away with something and again, create new ideas and innovation.
Yeah. So at Bridge Plus, we are working with the MAS to co-deliver a AI Summit. So we have a demo day as well for a closed group of audience. The AI companies will be presenting some of the innovations they have made for the financial community, right? So I think, you know, in summary, I think, you know, if you revisit the importance of building communities for the FinTech ecosystem, it does sound like everybody is in agreement. It's, in fact, sounds like it's more important going forward. Am I right?
No, absolutely, and I think in general, looking at FinTech, we see an acceleration of digitization, of using tech in all of our industries. I think even if you look at us, insurance is historically a little traditional. Still a lot of selling goes through distribution channels, which is people face-to-face meeting at someone's home or coffee shop. That hasn't been possible. So everyone had to quickly move that online and work with new tools to make that happen. And people who have been working for the same way in 30 years have to do that different. And same for, you know, our customer service is becoming differently, and we're looking at how can we triage call better, how can we use conversational AI, all these things that we were working on, but suddenly they're more accelerated. So I do think FinTech in general takes a more stronger position since 2020.
Yeah. How about Ben? What do you think? 2021.
Yeah, no,
more community engagement and development more important.
yeah, no,
as we grow.
I mean, I agree. Very, you know, a lot of what was discussed this morning, by everybody, it resonates well. I think, if 2020 was anything sort of retrospective, let's reassess everything. 2021 would be, I guess, very much the building of how this new balance would be, the normalization of this new balance in some ways. I think all this has gone to show that community is as important as ever, but it will never be the same. It would be a different form of how we engage, how we use the community elements that we have, and I believe it will be a lot more targeted and beneficial. I think moving forward. So definitely, 2021, we're all looking forward, and I'm sure looking at how resilient this sector has been, I'm eager to see what exciting things 2021 has in store.
Yeah, Pauline.
I think
we are looking at collaboration, we are looking at innovation. So to enable collaboration and innovation, you need a community.
Yeah.
Else you will not find the fellow partners or co-collaborators, that easily. So community actually does serve a key need in the innovation sector. And if you are looking at FinTech or anything beyond tech, even, EduTech, MedTech, and those are a lot of areas and sectors that have been digitalizing and have been accelerated in 2020. So in 2021, we do look forward to continue, our community building and community engagement. And as shared earlier, I think we can have a wider reach. So that's what digital enables. But we do want to have those moments, the kopi moments, coffee moments, the networking moments, moments like these where we can engage and bring the spontaneity out. So that's what we are looking forward to. I think at the FinLab, we will continue to be looking at engaging the SMEs,
I see.
and also the offline partners, like the government agencies. But then to be able to serve regionally online is actually a amazing experience for us this year. So next year, we want to see how do we bring this even more forward and find a even better model, both online and offline. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. And maybe Yimin.
I guess community building will be even more important moving forward. Last year or all through the last like 30, 40 years, everything has been done in a very like centralized manner.
Yeah.
But this year has put us to more work from home, a lot more decentralized like methods of workings and stuff. And that's the reason why we need to bring events or engagement in a more orchestrated or engineered manner for a purpose.
Yeah.
Because as people are moving away, you need to find ways to get them to engage with each other. And I agree with what Pauline mentioned, which is innovation and collaboration comes hand in hand. So a lot of the work that we do today, be it on a government level or a corporate level, it's all about collaboration. Green lane access for us to travel overseas, it's a lot of collaboration. And how do you ensure data sharing, privacy is compliant? Or how do you ensure that countries are able to be on the same platform with the same system or infrastructure itself for different work that we need to do? So I guess this will be even more relevant as we move forward. And to me itself, the reason why we built communities today, it's a lot about collaboration. It's about knowledge transfer. It's a lot about driving good initiative to help the entire world solve challenges that we are facing as we move forward.
Right. Thank you. I think on that note, what we will strive to do at Bridge Plus is to kind of stretch what we have in FinTech Fest at Switch, which happens in a week. Hopefully, we'll stretch it to across the year and provide that focus that you mentioned, put spotlight on certain conversations that will be relevant to a very distinct group of users. And this is then when we hope to work with each and every one of you, in kind of that, build and refine that focus and deliver that content to our audience. And of course, amplify that outreach to those people that we want to connect and facilitate, right? So I think, thank you so much for all the views today. It's very heartening to hear that community building is still, and development is still going to be very much core in what we do and deliver as we work separately or work alone, especially in this context, right, of where we are in. Maybe it will take us another year before we would be able to converge back to where we were before COVID. So it's important that we still stay strong together, right, and get things moving, right. So, well, thank you you for spending your time with us to share your views. I think we'll call it a good conclusion for today. Right, okay, right, thank you.